money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Customer, clientele. I was broke, that was last year. Getting money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Benjamin, nothing less. I was broke, that was last year. Don't change them. I never switched up. Been down since day one. Straight social. People change them.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Dope Black Thoughts Live. My name is Kevin Cox.
I'm Stefania.
I'm Hashim, also known as Hashade.
Mike Carter, aka Short Texas Paperboy. Aloha.
Short Texas. And did we ever get the explanation to why it's short?
Cause he's short.
Rude.
I'm not gonna go into all the ins and outs of
Welcome back.
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, don't call it a comeback.
I think what you're trying to say is welcome back, and we've missed each other. I think that's what you were trying to say, Shane. It came out as shade. I understand, because that's how you show your appreciation for people. So
yeah, see how Hashade works. I'll give an example, and I think that like maybe my description was right too. Short text.
Well, no, it comes out as shade, but I know it's love.
I'm just wondering how many nicknames we're gonna squeeze in there for you.
All right, until I get done.
I mean,
until I get done.
Next season.
I gotta come on, Blade. I got some.
Wait. Why they call you Blade? Don't answer.
Blade. I can do it all of them. I ain't so. All right, that was anyway. Welcome back. So
yeah,
what do we
got?
Mike. What do we got today? I'm trying to.
I mean, we had a lot of stuff in the chat, man. What's one of the hottest stories we got lined up? I can't pull anything up on my phone. Just be honest with you.
So listen. First, I just want to say I'm glad that we all are surviving at this point right now through all the things that are going on, the constant attack on blackness since 1619 and before. But then we also add into the layer of COVID and the Delta variant. All that's happening. So I'm just glad that we're all here right now. And let's talk about that right quick, so Stefania, because you've talked about it. All the things that fall out are happening because of COVID-19. One thing is coming up. You have some different groups, right? You have the groups, and I'm part of the group of get the vaccination, go out in the public, and keep your mouth covered too while you're in public. Still practice that whole thing of social distancing, right? Because I look at it as we're in a vehicle. Like you look at your car, right? Your car comes with all these safety features: the frame of the vehicle, the brakes of the vehicle, the seatbelt, and the airbags. So I look at the masks as the seatbelt, and I look at the vaccine as the airbags. That's how I personally look at it, right? Like, while it's working, you hope that it never has to go into effect. But there are some other things going on right now for the other group of people who are like, no vaccine, for whatever reason, they're not getting the vaccine. The insurance companies are talking about, cool, no vaccine, more money. Right?
We pay more money.
Yeah. So go ahead, Stefania.
So they're talking about raising the coverage rates for people who refuse to get vaccinated, raising hospitalization costs and things like that. Now, keep in mind that they did this also for smokers. So they have higher coverage rates for people who are smokers, and they've been doing that for a long time. What do you guys think?
I think it's a numbers game with insurance. It's always a numbers game. They look at people and look at what kind of risk they're taking, and for everyone, the vaccine is a calculated risk. I know people that are immunocompromised, and they said, "Hey, look, I almost had to get hospitalized when I took the flu vaccine." So I am afraid to take the COVID vaccine. And I'm like, for you, I understand 100%. And everyone has to make that calculation. So if you're making that calculation, it's just like if you want to ride your motorcycle and you say, I don't need to wear a helmet. Okay, you're making an assessment of how safe you are. And the insurance company's going to do the math and say, what's the likelihood? If they raise the price, they raise the price. That's another risk you're taking.
Anyone else?
I mean, you just got to be careful.
Do you agree with them charging two different prices for people who are vaccinated versus people who are unvaccinated?
Yes, but you just have to be careful. It is a numbers game. What is it? The actuary table where they're looking at, okay, this person is going to live this long. You just have to be careful that what you're putting into that table, you just have to be careful because there could be issues regarding race, period.
Yeah, that's true. And that goes back to this comment from Facebook. Lucy Martin asking, did y'all see the New York Times article about how less than 30% of young black people in New York City are taking the vaccine? I didn't see that, but I mean, I understand that vaccine hesitancy in the black community has been a real thing for people that are trying to push the vaccine. But also, I know a lot of black people that are kind of suspicious of how hard they're pushing the vaccine to their community as well. Like Juvenile busted out that song, "Wax That Thing Up." Like it seems like sometimes maybe they're pushing too hard. It makes people suspicious.
Hold on.
It does make you a little bit suspicious. But I do want to point this out. I'm sorry, Carter. Go ahead. It does make you a little bit nervous when they're pushing so hard. What did you want to say?
Vax That Thing Up. Is that real? Is there a song out there by Juvenile called Vax That Thing Up?
Well, he had another song called Back That Thing Up.
No, I mean,
you know how creative we are as a people.
Juvenile out here. Hey, okay, I'm gonna find that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to point out that studies have shown that raising the rates for smokers did not cause them to stop smoking. All it did is push them out of the healthcare system. It didn't cause them to stop smoking. It didn't make them want to stop smoking to drop their coverage rates. What it did was push them out of the healthcare system so that they were uncovered. So now you'll have people who can't afford coverage or are not willing to take that risk keeping their coverage because they know that they don't fit into a category or they fit into a category that's going to charge them more. So it's a gamble. It's a risk that insurance companies will be taking. And keep in mind, insurance companies are not hurting for money in any way, shape, or form.
So
right.
Juvenile and all these damn skeptics, right? I appreciate and I understand being cautious, right? I understand the history as it relates to medical apartheid in our people and black people, or non-white people specifically. But there comes a point when are these same people that are drinking that flatten my stomach tea that are refusing to take a FDA and approve that vaccine? FDA doesn't approve that flat your stomach tea as well either. Or they pop in those diet pills because that infomercial said you can do X, Y, Z, and they didn't read the bottom part because the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And if the bottom part is like, this has not been FDA approved, please consult with a physician, all this type of stuff. And then we remember the lawsuits back in the 90s of, it's not phenolphthalein, but it was the thing that was causing the heart issues with these diet products, right? So we're doing all this other stuff, and folks are still, our people are still drinking Hennessy. And so like, if you drink Hennessy, you can get any damn thing, right? That's just, that's me. I'm a clear liquor vodka dude. But anyway, but seriously, like there's all this other stuff that we're putting these regulations on, or these excuses on of, and I believe in autonomy and whatever is a person's accountability or responsibility in the decisions they make with their body, but it's for the greater good. And the science, people are like, the science is too new. Well, the last time you took science was back in 12th grade 20 years ago. I dig it But understand the science is not new. They have been working on the science for the COVID, but the situation happened. Like, you can't tell me that people weren't dying of this disease. Almost said something else. You can't tell me people weren't dying of it. And so this is emergency was happening. Emergency had to happen to respond to the emergencies that were happening. Right. And for so long, we've been like, why does it take the FDA so long to approve stuff? In Canada and over in England and in other European countries, their medical association approves things a lot faster than ours do. So then when we have an emergency situation and we get things approved or we get things pushed through, then it becomes a problem. Right. So I'm annoyed. At the same time, I'm all over the place with a little bit, an inch bit of compassion for people who are skeptical because of it.
Your skepticism is your own personal choice, and it's understand, or I can follow wherever they're going to it. I can see that. But there are consequences to your skepticism. And the argument that we hear is, well, I don't want there to be any consequences to my skepticism from the government. But if I get COVID, then that's on me. But we're a society. We are, like it or not, we are a group that have come together as a society. So if you want to be a part, if we want businesses to stay open, if we want, the movement, the free trade, that freedom that we're all talking about, then you have to contribute. And if you don't want to, you don't have to get the vaccine, but wear the mask.
I say this. I agree with you. Wear the mask. That means you must stay masked up at all times. But I see why, and Croy said it just a minute ago, that there's a history here. So I see that there's a history here in the United States as far as not trusting our government because of the things that they've done, and that is their own fault. And on top of that, hold on, Carter, we still have people like Fox News who are pushing an agenda of anti-vaxxers and things like that. And we've always had people in this country that are anti-vaxxers. In the Silicon Valley had people that believed that it was causing autism in children, so they weren't getting vaccinations for their children. I get that. However, I think that what needs to be done is there needs to be an approach where they are giving people more information so that they can bite this information off and chew it up and really, really let it marinate and do what's right. One of the things that they need to understand is this is not a United States thing. This is a worldwide pandemic. And every governmental system has worked together to get this vaccination out and ready for the people. So this vaccination is not just a United States vaccination. They've had numerous studies where the science community has worked together for an mRNA, which is what is used in this vaccination. That is not new. It's been around for years.
Thank you.
And so being able to push this vaccine out as fast as they did came because they've had this history with the mRNA replication, and they've been able to work with other scientists throughout this world to get this out and ready for the people. Yep. That's something that's not being pushed. That's not something that's being told to the people so that they can understand that this is not just a United States thing.
Well, and most things that are good for you are not being pushed. Like the information, we do the good to you type of stuff. It's not sensationalism. What sells off of selling boring facts and truths to people, like the media. So capitalism is like a horrible devil behind this, or a horrible entity behind this on all sides of it. And often, so people are trusting Juvenile and all these damn don't get it people, or don't get the vaccine people, before they trust someone that has gone to undergrad, med school, residency, all this type of stuff. Like, you believe this before that?
Dr. Fauci.
Two words. 400 degrees.
I mean,
Just
You
saying.
talking about this project?
that was
I mean, then you have the ignorant person.
And there it is.
Um,
We are how many minutes into the show, and there it is.
I think I did good.
made it.
But Tom Hanks, Chad Hanks, is that his name?
Oh yeah.
His parents is it Chad or Chad?
Chaz.
He's a
Was it
Chad for
Chaz?
me. Okay,
Chad?
he's a Chad.
Something like that.
It's Chad, but he's a Chad. Out here pushing propaganda of not to get the vaccine. If you scared, stay at home type of stuff. That irresponsible, sorry piece of thing that the bird left on the limb. Like, oh my God, this is the same one that thought it was okay because he loves to have sex with black women that he can use the N-word. But his parents were COVID positive and sick from it and could have died from it. And this is his callous irresponsibility message. But yet we have these type of people, so-called influencers, that are out there telling people don't get vaccinated. And, I really have an issue with rich people telling people who are not rich what not to do. Just like folks and people thank Colin Kaepernick for taking the knee. But do you know that Colin Kaepernick, at the same time he took the knee, said he did not participate in electoral politics?
Mm.
And there's many of black folks that make it that say this, and I'm like, to be so rich and so stupid with such a platform annoys me, and is detrimental to
It's the
large
different silos. It's the different silos of intelligence. That
Right.
silo was very empty, and this other silo was I'm not even going to necessarily say full, but in this very, very super specific subject, knowing that I need to do something visible and utilize my platform, that silo was full. I don't want to overarchingly say cap and intelligent as I use ink. I don't want to
That's my
overarchingly say
statement.
that.
That's my statement.
But
But
I know, but
and
not me, right? But
it's harmful when you tell people not to vote, when voting is the fastest way to change a situation or a system that is impactful to you while you still can do it. And then I want to just talk about the Tuskegee thing. Listen, stop comparing Tuskegee experiment to this. I understand that's a thing where they targeted black people, but they withheld treatment on Tuskegee. So it's
It
not
wasn't a
the
vaccine.
same thing. You're comparing fruits, but you have an apple comparing it to a coconut. Not the same.
it was a what do they call that? Placebo instead of an actual
They
treatment.
told them they
Right.
were treating them, and they were just.
But that led to the mistrust of the government. I mean, they said they were giving them.
Well, we just came from slavery, though. Like, the mistrust should have just been there in the first place. I think at some point we have to separate the government from the medical system overall at some point and say, look, these doctors aren't all evil, even though we can still say there's biases and there's discrepancies and whatnot. I do go to the doctor when my heart is acting up, and I say, what's my cardiologist say? And I'll say, no, you just want to tell me that because I'm black. I'm like, look, I know there's some things I'm going to have to trust somebody. And if I don't have a doctorate in medicine, I'm going to listen to the expert and hope, and that's why some people throw a prayer up there, and myself, and you get second opinions and do your research and look up some things and talk to another doctor if you don't feel comfortable. But we have to trust somebody. There's some numbers you have to be willing to trust.
I want to chime in on Hashim and Colin Kaepernick. I kind of don't agree with you on that one, because I think, first of all, voting is you're right. I think it is your civic duty. I do. But I do also think that there are some, I don't know Colin's personal reasons for not voting, but you said we've been voting for years, right? And that's it.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
It's like
voting is the way to exact change, right?
Yes.
Okay. We've been voting for change. We've been voting for years. And to me, it seems like nothing really has changed. We've had different presidents. I continue to vote. Now let's keep it real. I continue to vote. But no, let me finish. I'm just saying, perhaps that's his reason. My father was not a voter. He did not vote, and he didn't believe that that there would ever be any true change. And the reason why is because the same people who have made the original laws are still the ones that are making the laws. And though they changed the wording, they're still those laws are still stacked against us.
If it didn't mean anything, then why do they keep trying to say that the voting results are wrong? If it didn't mean anything,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
We know.
But some people don't believe that there is enough change to make them want to make it out to the polls.
Look, God bless him for his platform. God bless him for what he did. But you have to vote.
I agree.
You have to. Period.
The key word is trust.
Have to.
The key word we're talking about is trust. We're not saying.
Let me just get it out. If they didn't believe that our votes meant something, they wouldn't be trying so hard to take it away from us. Yeah,
I agree.
Yes.
And that's something that hopefully he can get out there.
Some of the things that we mistrust the government or distrust the government for are things that are completely legal and you could have changed if you would have voted and been more active in the political process, such as ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Coalition, where our elected officials are connecting themselves with corporations and they're deciding what the laws are going to be based on the template that the corporations are giving them. And then they're passing it around to their different constituents, and it's just copying and pasting. They don't even make a change to it. They just say, well, this is what Coca-Cola said. This is my new idea for a law. These people are bought and sold and paid for, and we didn't do anything about it because we don't have a critical mass of voters to get those sorts of people out of office. If we not voting is not going to cause a critical mass to come to fruition any quicker. Getting more people to vote is going to get your mission accomplished quicker.
Agreed.
And so, you know, politics is my bread and butter. And yes, we've been voting since we could vote, but at what numbers? Like when people say that type of thing, I'm like, okay, well, talk to me about the percentages, right? And when you look at like right after Reconstruction, do you know like how many Black folks utilized that option to vote, got into office, and the South was like, yeah, we're going to change this. This is not getting ready to happen again. And that's when the disenfranchisement started to happen, where like our first Black senator was back in the 1800s, right? U.S. senator, that happened. But then a wave came and they stopped and they put all these barriers up to stop people from voting, so you didn't see that. And then often, like and I say we as a Democrat because I am a Democrat because I believe that's the best vessel for us to be a part of to change things, but we have our imperfections in that as well. But we don't do a good job educating people on when you pull this lever, this happens. And a lot of times you get the narrative of my vote doesn't count because, you know, there's a whole nother group that is out there to choose who gets the presidency anyway. Well, listen, stop. The Electoral College only affects the president and the vice president positions. Your vote, as we boil it down here to school board, right? One of the lowest, or I shouldn't say lowest in a bad sense, but the sense that is the most touchable form that you can get to, every vote counts. The runoffs that we have, like, when people have won a seat based upon one vote, you can't tell me that voting doesn't work. And what Michael said, there's so much energy to suppress the vote. You got to solve for X sometimes. It's like, well, why is that? If voting doesn't matter, why are they spending billions to stop people from voting? Look what's happening right now after we got Biden in the office. All these voting laws are occurring in these red states. These disenfranchisement voting laws are happening. Why? If voting doesn't matter, if voting doesn't work. Why?
You can reach out. You can reach out to your state representative. You can reach out to your House representative. You can reach out. These people are within arm's length of you. These are people that you vote for. You can reach out to your members of your school board. Mr. Kaufman was in my neighborhood a week ago. You can reach out to the mayor. These are
your mayor.
Our mayor. Well,
our mayor. Yes.
His platform was social injustice. The way you get rid of social injustice is vote for those judges. They're on that ballot. It's you can't vote the top of the ballot. You've got to vote all the way down.
We've been okay.
I know we beat this horse up all the time.
Yeah, we do. But you know what? Maybe there needs to be a nationwide Black DA project. You know, maybe there needs to be a Black judge project where we go through and use our platform and all other platforms like ours to amplify our message, to get Black judges, Black district attorneys, Black line attorneys, line prosecutors in there, because we've spoken to Black prosecutors on the show that say there needs to be reform, and they're on the side of the law. there's not just someone else coming in saying, yeah, my homeboy got locked up, free him. They're saying like, no, I lock people up and I don't like how it's done. You know, so there's
Some of your
changes
homeboys
that
need
to
to
be
be locked up.
made. Easy.
Who are you hanging with?
Snitching?
Not you personally, but there's some folks that need to be locked up. I'm just so sorry. Anyway, all right.
Right.
Facts.
Right.
That's awesome. Did you?
All right.
I want our producer to find Dinger. I want y'all to see that. I don't understand how come I'm the only one who saw that.
Then you so where'd you see
I
it?
tried to pull it up. I put it in the chat.
Where's it at?
Try implies failure.
All right. So
What source is it? Denver Post?
At the Rockies game over the weekend. There was a player at bat. He's a black player, right? Somebody in the crowd is yelling "Dinger." It just didn't sound like that.
Oh no!
I heard about that. Was that the player's name? Because I don't watch
His name was not Dinger.
Dinger is the mascot.
Dinger is the mascot. And so,
let me tell you something about white supremacy. That sorry sack of dung is so sneaky and has such a vast wardrobe that, and understand that racism is woven into the fabric of this, not just country, but the world, but since we're talking about here, of this nation, that, Dinger is the mascot, but Dinger.
that's it,
Right? When the black person's up to bat, like, what are you trying to code and hide into stuff? So I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking about racism, because that's new for us. The Oregon School Board. Kevin, you wanted to talk about that one, or you wanted the Oregon School Board?
Yes. Take the lead for me.
Okay. So the Oregon School Board voted to ban Black Lives Matter and pride signs from district buildings.
And that's not just racism. That's like everythingism. That's everything.
Right.
Homophobia, white supremacy, all bundled into one, and it's in education, no less.
Right, which doesn't seem right. They have a policy. In reading the article, they have a policy for every student included, I think it is, or every student belongs policy. It's called ESB. So they have wording that would allow disallow things like the news, the swastika, and the Confederate flag because they're stemmed in hate. Black Lives Matter is not stemmed in hate. That does not stand for we hate. There's a Black Lives Matters doesn't stand for hating against another group. The LGBTQ community and pride flags doesn't mean that they hate heterosexuals. So I don't know how you equate the two to want to ban Black Lives Matter paraphernalia and LGBTQ paraphernalia and pride from schools in school.
Well, like I said, the other side is pervasive. It's sneaky, right? Mm-hmm. So it's pitching on to the homophobia that society has woven into all of us, and it's pitching on to the anti-Blackness that society has woven into all of us. And so with Black Lives Matter Park, when you have society saying that capitulation to whiteness is the way that society should go, when BLM first hit the scene under the moniker BLM back in 2014, there were Black folks that I've gotten into arguments with that were saying it's a terrorist organization. I'm like, how the hell can Black Lives Matter be a terrorist organization to your Black self? Like, let's dig into that and let's do the research on it. But anytime, any movement of Black pride, liberation, or just like get your foot off my neck type of thing, it's the other side always spins it to where it's like a terrorist thing or it's a horrible type of thing. It's a threat. And I was a part of a protest here in Colorado And it's kind of historic, but it's low news. We shut the Capitol down. Let me tell you how it happened. It was back in 2014 in November, and it was under the we had an I Can't Breathe protest here in response to what happened to Eric Gardner. And it was less than 100 of us, less than 50 maybe. And it was a peaceful protest, no weapons and nothing like that happened. And where the protesters just laid on the ground for the duration, the time frame that they had the murdering that was occurring to Eric Gardner. The state capitol shut down. Now, this is the same building that allows gun fanatics to enter into the building and surround the building with their firearms. But here, a group of mixed race people are outside peacefully protesting, and the entire building is shut down. Right. But I tip my hat to, at the time, Lieutenant Governor Garcia and State Senator Guzman for coming outside and being responsive to the protest. But it's these type of things that happen when Black people, when a marginalized group of people says, hey, stop hurting me, or hey, learn a bit about history, it's always demonized in that. But Oregon, I don't know what specific school district this was in Oregon, or was it the state board, their state board of ed that did this? But they're getting back to their roots. Learn about the Oregon Trail. Learn about the laws that they wrote on the territory of Oregon. Like, they didn't agree with slavery, but they also said Black folks don't bring your Black selves up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and we get into CRT type of stuff, right? Like, just teach true history. If you taught the history, you'd understand this, and what I'm saying would not be news to you.
I mean, well, if it's an attempt to stop the waving of certain flags that are or certain symbols that are oppressive in and of themselves, how does that work? Where do you go? Oh.
How does what work?
Okay, so they're saying all political flags, right? I was kind of reading through the charter from the Oregon School District.
Okay.
So that also includes Confederate flags.
Confederate flags were written into the code because it symbolizes hate. So that was written in there years ago. Swastikas, the news, Confederate flags were written in there years ago.
So this is only adding the BLM and the pride flag.
Yeah.
I had a question. I was wondering, and I don't think you guys have the answer, but I was wondering if they still have schools named Robert E. Lee, you know, like in places that are talking about they have an inclusive policy. My hometown of Baytown, Texas, where I grew up and graduated high school, you know, one of the high schools is Robert E. Lee, and the local community college is Robert E. Lee College, or just Lee College now for branding, but it's still for a Confederate general. And I'm just wondering, when the inclusiveness and the conservatives aren't for racism, it's like, well, you're still uplifting someone who fought and died, you know, or almost died, but lost his freedom for the sake of keeping Black people as property.
Well, and let's be truthful and let's stop calling it Confederacy or acknowledge it's Confederacy. Don't leave it alone in Confederacy. That was a treasonous act. They are traitors to the country, and that's what it should be deemed as. So take race out of it. And let's just say that it's completely anti-American, and we should not ever allow the planting of any type of Confederate flag, statue, remembrance, or anything on American soil, because it was anti-American. It was treasonous, period. Right. And what do we do to people who commit treason?
Death.
What we should do to people who commit treason. How about that?
At one point in time, the penalty was death. Now, it's 6 months in jail, possibly or probation. Because they're not insurrectionists, it was an everyday tour. You
know, also Trent says Oregon was designed to be a whites only state.
It was.
I was not aware of that.
She was
but
saying without saying it.
in the military, the policy used to be, if you're on the battlefield and you run away or show cowardice on the battlefield, the commanding officer is supposed to shoot you.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that. You have to fight and lose your life just like everyone else is going to do. So when someone says, the penalty was death, it's not of the utmost extreme. There's also saying when we call you to defend the country, you should lay your life on the line. Or if you're at home, you should give everything you have to work and fuel our troops to protect our country and whatnot. Even women should come to work and whatnot. So it wasn't so crazy to say those sorts of things back in those days. But now, what's our current paradigm of it? We need to be inclusive in the environment of the military. We need to be allowing people that are transgendered or whatever sexuality they have to be soldiers, airmen, airmen or women, and
sailors. Thank you. Let's not forget
sailors.
the
There we go. Yeah, sailors and Coast Guards. I don't know what they call them. Frogs?
Sailors.
What do they call them?
They're still sailors.
They're still sailors. Okay, but you understand what I'm
Marines.
saying.
We got to remember the Marines. But yes.
Anybody else? Space Force.
If you stop discriminating, you get more people fighting on your side. The Tuskegee Airmen were renowned airmen. That fought well and broke records and whatnot. I don't remember all their accolades, but there were some bad mamma jammas.
Well, two things. One, I was looking when you said Lee, it made me think. So you went to Bayside. Are you Bayside Lee? I'm assuming one of the biggest high schools in the state of Texas is Midland Lee for football. And
no, there was another. It was another one because I was in Baytown, Texas, and they had just another. They had two Lees there also. A lot of Lees going on.
Well, the one in Texas, the one in Midland, I just changed its name last year to Legacy. Okay. It was Midland Lee, one of the biggest football schools in Texas, and it changed its name to Legacy.
I don't like that it went to Legacy.
Legacy of what?
Let me just get this out real quick. If you cannot teach the name of a school to its students, then you don't need to be naming a school after that person. Go ahead.
That's a good point.
That's tough.
That's the truth. If you can't go in, if you can't teach your students about this person, then his name does not need to be on the school. Why is that hard?
Right, I agree with you. And when they talk about Robert Lee, they don't talk about the part when he was like, "We should take down the Confederate flag and it should never be raised."
Right.
Well, I'm not here to defend Robert Lee.
Oh no! Listen, you about to make me trigger. We about to do the HBO status. Listen. Never
turn the lights down low.
Will I ever defend the sorry racist piece of trash. But if you're going to teach history, and I'm a proponent of teaching history as it happened, as it occurred, all things, Robert E. Lee said, we're done with the Confederacy flag. It wasn't until the 50s when that flag started to make a reoccurrence, when the civil rights movement started to make started to begin its process. Right, so there was direct response to that. These are the things they don't teach people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I know, Kevin, you mentioned something about, well, let's just go. There's another article that, Kevin, you brought up as well. Tucker Carlson, who attacked the black officer who says he was called the N-word during the Capitol. Now, keeping in mind that we know that there are two Americas. We know that. We know that the black man on the stand testifying as to what he encountered during the Capitol riots, and he was called, the N-word repeatedly. He's throwing his life down for his country. He is being called a liar. Right, he's being called a liar. Tucker Carlson says he's over exaggerating, and he's just an angry left-wing political activist with his recount of what happened.
Real quick. So what Tucker Carlson is saying is that this gentleman, this House police officer, has been lying in wait as a radical left-wing political activist, waiting for the chance when the right-wing political activists decide to storm the Capitol. Like he has been, he is a political operative that has been lying in wait just for this moment.
Right.
It's like finally.
1 minute it's Antifa, 1 minute it's Black Lives Matter, and now he's lying about being encountered this way during a riot that was for Trump supporters.
Yeah. He's like almost 50. He's like 50 years old. He's like, that was a real long game he was waiting on. Waiting on the
that
pounce.
is some Manchurian Candidate stuff.
He was in a sleeper cell. He probably just forgot and actually thought he was a real cop. And then they sent him that text. He's like, oh crap, now.
You know what the problem I have is this country has an issue with telling white people that they're truth. They're telling white people that when they're wrong, that they're wrong. And
is that the first episode of the Boondocks? Never tell white people.
Ronald Reagan is the devil.
Never tell white people the truth. No, but seriously, you're right, Stefania. The truth is a lot of people in America are allergic to the truth, and they want to live on the myth of American exceptionalism.
Well, that's why they'll never be held accountable because other white people are not going to hold them accountable to their actions, which is why there's so many black people who are sitting in jail for crimes that white people have committed. But the problem is tell white people when they're wrong. I mean, hold them accountable. You have a whole group of people who were we label insurrectionists, they label tourists, regular tourists. They get charged with these crimes, but we don't want to say that it's insurrection or that it's a crime against the government. What we want to say is that they were trespassing. And so 6 months for you. Go ahead, Hashim.
So, okay, this is why, and I'm like, show me a good Republican, I'll wait. And people talk about all Republicans ain't bad. Well, if you're a silent one, if we believe silence is complicit, then they're all a part of it. Fox News feeds into that. Fox News is actually deemed not as a news source, but as an entertainment source. So they don't have to be honest about things, right? That was a Supreme Court decision.
Exactly.
Infotainment.
Secondly, if we don't have leaders on the good side that are willing to call these things racist, and even my homegirl Kamala, Vice President Harris, was like, I don't think America's a racist country. And I'm like,
right. I think all of us were like, really?
What? Like, I mean, I did trying to play politics, but like, tell the whole story. You were brilliantly educated at a historically black college and university. Because why was Howard created? Right, based upon the fact this country being a racist country, and the whole narrative of, well, we had Obama, we're not that anymore. That's bull. Like it's just we. So anyway, there's a certain group of people who are also complicit to this by refusing to call a thing a thing.
Right.
And that's what we have to start doing unapologetically. Like, hey, that's racist, right? And I may give some type of compromise and not call a person a racist, but say what they did was racist, right? Because that seems to help white folks swallow that pill a lot better, like, because they hate to be called racist, but they love to continue to be racist. But, well, your action was racist. And that's kind of an easier way to get back.
But also, we got to look at how many directions is the communication, because you need two-way communication. Undocumented immigrants, you came here in a way that was not in concordance with our system of laws. That's okay to say. You're not racist if you say these people came here and they did not follow all the laws, right? You say black community, you're committing black on black crime and whatnot. But for some reason, I bring up white on white crime, or I say you guys came to this country and killed everyone that was here, or I say you committed a crime when you invaded the Capitol. All of a sudden, now I'm being extremist, I'm a far leftist and whatnot. We need to have equal and concordant conversations where it's okay to tell, white people, I'm not just trying to target white people here, but white people in general, it's okay to tell them, when you're being racist, when white supremacy is being enacted. And when we say white supremacy, it goes back to Stefania's point. That's worldwide. White supremacy hits non-white countries. You can go to India and the lighter skinned people are treated better than the darker skinned people. You go to Thailand, same thing. Go to the Philippines, same thing. White supremacy is worldwide.
And black people carry out black people carry out white supremacy as well too. And so it's okay to tell people the truth and to tell people when they are being wrong, period.
Right.
Every day we work within ourselves, or we should work within ourselves, to consciously deconstruct the conditioning of anti-blackness that we have been taught and that we promote. Like, if we're not doing that work, then we are also guilty of perpetuating white supremacy.
Right. Our justice system is a prime example of where we do not see that happening, where we do not see white, and I don't know, you put it so much eloquently than I do, but white people, I don't want to say it's just them, but them not being held accountable for the things that they do on the same level that they held Black people accountable.
Listen, they're the ruling class.
Exactly.
And heavy is the head that wears the crown. They need to go ahead and take that medicine. White folks, you got work to do. Period.
I say it all the time. When they ran up on Tamir Rice, that little black boy,
12-year-old child,
toy,
yes.
12-year-old child playing with a toy gun at the park. That is as American as apple pie. And they rolled up. They didn't even stop the car before they shot him. Where I'm from, that's called a drive-by shooting, and those are thugs who do that.
Right.
Just because they're wearing a badge and they they're state authorized and whatnot doesn't mean they didn't do a drive-by on a kid at the park. They did a drive-by on a kid.
State-sanctioned gang, and they say that.
State-sanctioned gang, and they have actual gangs within police departments.
Yeah.
So I don't have any way to delineate what's my metric for telling who's a thug and who's not a thug. You're riding around with a gun on your hip, ready to shoot anybody that doesn't look like you.
Right.
Tell me how I can tell you're not just a thug, please. Right.
So is there, within the last couple of weeks / months in Aurora, there have been arrests of officers. So
Yep.
Is that indicative of a more accountability, or just that we've got it on camera?
Both.
Yeah.
So, and it's also a pacifier as well. So it just today, the other officer, the female officer, and I forget her name, was fired from the Aurora Police Department. But I think, we've had recordings for a while. Rodney King was recorded. The assault of Rodney King was recorded. But I think in this day and age, after the protests came, that this is a response that's happening. But I guarantee these are not the only two officers that have behaved poorly or illegally since we had the summer of protest, right? So there's just, I think in a point they're almost a sacrificial lamb, and I'm like, cool, make an example out of them, do what you have to do, but let's increase a standard where officers, if they want the respect, then they need to be held to the higher level of standard. The same way that if a person of trust does something wrong with someone, the punishment is harder. Hold them to the standard. How can those who enforce the law break the law and not be treated with equal response to it? That blows my mind.
Well, is there a different level of culpability for both officers? Are they both baby with the bathwater? Is there a different level of culpability? One, there's obviously the individuals literally on top of the gentleman hitting him with the butt of his gun, and then there's Ms. Martinez, who is standing by.
That is written into the law now. That is HB 217. You cannot just stand by and watch your fellow officer commit crimes and not stop him.
And which is stupid that it had to be written into the law. If an officer observes a crime happening, like aren't they responsible to respond to it? That's a weird way to use officer discretion.
But
right?
we just said that they were a gang. So a fellow gang member is not going to stop another gang member from committing crime. And that gang member, and they're being forced to participate in those crimes because they're being intimidated on a whole nother level behind the scene. So of course they're standing down when their fellow officers are committing crimes. So it had to be written into the law, which it was. And we're
well, the only reason go ahead, Kevin.
Oh no, I was just saying it's a shame, but I mean, I hope it's not just a pacifier, and it's also been a long time coming for some people to finally get arrested. But
these cameras are here to stay. Like that is not a pilot program.
So
that's true.
I don't have the article, but as we were talking, it reminded me in Denver, there was a case where the police officers were fired for what they did. Like they said that the guy fought back. The guy didn't fight back. The tape showed that he didn't. The officers were fired, but the Civil Service Commission gave them their job, or through lawsuit. Let me stop before I carry on. Anyway, they got their jobs back.
Well, I thought
with
today,
back pay. With back pay.
Today, and this is the officers sued. They were fired for they were fired for unnecessary use of force. They sued and just won their lawsuit and got back pay. But part of their settlement was you will never work for the Denver Police Department again.
Okay, thank you for
But
correcting.
they still got $1 million in back pay.
Well, a fool and his money are soon parted, so
That's true.
good luck on making that last.
Yeah, no, but not if they put up a what do they call that? They put up one of those crowdfunding websites.
Hey, crowd.
People
They're
that
gonna be
people
all
that
right. Like, we don't do a good job of punishing racist behavior in this country. We don't
Yeah.
make an example out of it. But let one of us say something that is anti-Semitic. That is one of which, Semitic is a language and a whole thing that applies more than just to the Jewish community. But something that is anti-Semitic, something that is anti-Asian, something that is we might be able to slide if we make a comment against Latinos, right? Because they're number 2 hated here. But let one of us do something like that, we will face harsh punishment, right? Or let one of y'all say something that's homophobic, and that's a wrap, Jack. But the only thing that you can do and get away with a slap on the hand, maybe, is be racist and be anti-black. Be racist towards people and be anti-black. Like, we just don't make the examples out of people for doing that. And I'm thinking we should.
Well,
And by examples, I mean apply treatment equally. When I said, I went to Aurora City Council meeting a few times, and I was at the mic, and I was like, listen, why don't we just treat police the same way they treat black people?
right.
It blew up.
I know.
You can't say that. Well, why can't I? Are you going to tell me they treat black people badly?
right.
Oh, fairly, and with justice in mind as a first priority. Hey, how about this one? What if Clarence Thomas was a Democrat? You think he would have made it? I'm just saying, like there's only so many.
What if President Trump was a black man? I mean, come on, the highest office of the land will not see accountability from the top down. So why would we expect to see it on these micro levels?
Would the phone call have been perfect?
Would you allow the rhetoric? Would you allow the rhetoric that Trump is doing from a black man and then elect him president?
Right, lock her up. It would stop.
They just press charges. Go ahead.
Obama had to disavow his pastor,
right?
For his pastor saying America is a racist country and America has done X, Y, Z to black people. Obama had to disavow him.
And that was the double standard that he was Muslim sitting in a Christian church.
Right. Like, it's just so much to that. So, like,
interesting.
Absolutely not. The black president couldn't have done that. Like, Obama's damn near perfect, right? And I'm not saying that because I love his policies, but Obama's damn near perfect.
Harvard law, he's the head of the Harvard law.
What scandal? I'm talking, no. What scandal?
Yeah, name a scandal.
Exactly.
Because Obama been
legitimate children.
They like, there's nothing on him.
He wore the tan suit.
Dijon mustard. The first one I heard was the Dijon mustard on the hamburger.
Michelle going sleeveless. That was almost a scandal. I mean, my God.
It's just,
she wasn't naked on a bearskin rug, but she didn't have sleeves on her arm.
So she was not an escort, unlike Melania.
Sheesh.
Oh, goodness.
Talk.
This country. Well, we're 5 minutes out.
Yeah, we are 5 minutes out. So, I mean, thank you for reminding us, Stefania.
My clock says 6 minutes, but no.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring up the story that they just sentenced those guys that shot up the black girls' cars at the Trump rally.
Mm-hmm.
Just got sentenced to up to 10 years.
Up to?
Again, and here's the thing that he was only charged with, what was it? Discharging a firearm in public? It was something very minimal.
Yeah, less than exactly. What if you were black? What if you were black and you shot a car full of women and you hit a 15-year-old girl?
You would have been charged for attempted murder for every life that was at the rally that day. Not just in the car, but at the rally.
Matter of fact, that's how it works, right? They count how many people are around when you discharge the weapon, and they charge you for each one.
Exactly. Yep. He was only charged for the one little girl the 15-year-old that he hit in the leg. That was it. Double standards. You don't want to tell white people that they're wrong when they are wrong. That's the double standard we have.
But this is why voting matters. Because who decides what he gets charged with? The district attorney and the AGs, right? And how are those decided? Based on your vote.
Yeah.
Very true.
Election here where the district attorney's office race in the 18th was 15. Was it 1,500 votes? It was either 3,000 or 1,500 votes.
It was 15, 24, 26, something like that. Yep. After that big dumping of votes that came from Elbert County, I believe.
It was Douglas.
Douglas County.
It was Douglas. But, and oh gosh, we're really looking on time. But when we talk about voting, and we talk about voting that happens in Republican court-controlled areas, what's up? That's going on. I just forgot the county, but old girl gave the passwords.
Oh, Mesa. Yeah. Mesa. They posted the passwords.
Yes. Yes. They posted the killed the cameras. They killed the cameras to allow a non-clerk employee into the office to create passwords and then posted those passwords on the internet, on Al Gore's internet.
Brilliant. Al Gore's internet.
Yes.
And so now that clerk is not being responsive to Jenna Griswold, who is the Secretary of State for the state of Colorado, not being responsive to the contact on it. But it's been turned over. It's a criminal investigation going on. So Republicans were right.
I wouldn't answer the phone either.
and look, y'all. I'm gonna wrap it up on this because this is kind of local.
Right. There is voter tampering going on, and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it. But look, this is local. This is Colorado. This is hitting close to home. And I have a Dope Black Thought, which is also an announcement.
Oh my God!
It's also an announcement. Dope Black Thoughts is going to be hosting our Pat Schroeder dinner for the Democratic Party. We're going to be emceeing the event. So we're figuring out exactly who that's going to be, and we'll be speaking to maybe you might need a tux, but we'll be doing that, and I think that's a great honor. Myself and Marcus did it last year, and look, we're still keeping it moving, and we're involved in the political process.
Hashim did it before then.
Yeah, Hashim did it. Hashim did it before me, and then I did it. But now DBT's been doing it. So this is something that I like to see. When we talk about getting involved in the political process, we don't just say it. We do what we're talking about. We live out these actions. I didn't just say get vaccinated. I took that shot. I don't just say go out and vote. I do vote, and I educate myself about who I'm voting for and whatnot. So that's my little Dope Black Thought, and I just wanted to kind of wrap us up with that one. So y'all have a great one. All right.
Oh, I got a Dope Black Thought. Hold on, we got time.
All right.
Listen, So
all right.
That I got to be true to my brand. Arapahoe County still has some reckoning to do with their issue as it relates to racism. So this ain't gonna be no rope-a-dope shit where they get Dope Black Thoughts up there to try to be like, hey, see, we're good on racism. Nope. They still got some accountability to do to address the racism that's going on within Arapahoe County. So we see you, even though we accept to do this, we see you. We ain't good yet.
I want to wear a tuxedo.
Power to the people.
And my Dope Black about is I could take it back to everyone else, what everyone else said, and that is we need to vote. We need to vote. You need to vote. You need to vote. These micro levels matter the most. It is what's closest to you, is what's touchable. And if you want to see accountability, if you want to see everybody being held accountable on the same level, it's about voting.
Boom. I like it. Thank you, Stefania. Thanks everybody for contributing, and thanks everybody for watching.
Yes.
DBT out.
Bye.
What is love? Is the drug. Let it rotate just to get back in it. Calling me an Uber just to get back in it. Use the cash out like pay I spend it. Is it really worth the wait? I don't get it.